is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
So JJ Wang, we are in the wait and see kind of month. Everybody's going to talk about rookies, where they're going to land, and in less than a month, it's not going to matter. They're all going to have a team. All these guys that we thought were great, they're going to be stuck behind like Breece Hall. Oh, that was a great running back. Oh, he's the backup to Breece Hall. Done. And we're going to be sad, happy, but we'll have some answers. Does that excite you? Make you a little sad?
But even though he's stuck behind Breece Hall, I mean, he's still going to be on your team because look what happened to Breece Hall last year. And then you're going to be so happy you drafted him. You're like, yeah, I knew it. Like, I knew this guy was going to be great when he got his opportunity. Like, he just needed the opportunity.
Yeah, I heard it. Listened to we were talking before the show. We were listening to a bunch of podcasts recently. I said I finally got some time because a lot of drive to the beach. And I'm learning more about the rookies. And the best thing I heard all week was Jason from the Footballer said, there's 10 guys I really like right now. In about a month, that'll be 5.
Yeah, honestly, I've only been doing fantasy for a few years. But like every draft that I've gone into, there's always been like 10 guys that, I'm happy to come out with.
There's always guys I want. Sometimes a lot of times I'm wrong, late in the draft especially.
Oh yeah, I'm wrong on probably 8 out of 10 of them, but
at one,
I still like them though. They're still my guys.
Yeah, and I was having a disagreement with my brother-in-law. He's like trading away, trying to get picks for this year and that. And we talked about the philosophy of do you want draft or picks? He's like, well, next year's going to be the greatest draft. And I was thinking about, we talked about, this year was the greatest draft. I think the only consensus year was last year, and everybody's like, this isn't that great of a draft unless you want some good receivers. But
honestly, it turned out to be a pretty good draft. The only reason last year wasn't a good draft was because of the lack of quarterbacks. If there would have been like 2 good quarterbacks, last year's draft class would have been completely different because there were some good receivers, obviously. There were some decent running backs. So some tight ends, who knows? But overall, Breece Hall, Kenny Walker, James Cook, there were some decent running backs, but like I said, just no quarterbacks. But yeah, that was the consistent bad year. But every other year is just the greatest year ever. And I've kind of found myself veering away from so many draft picks and just sticking to my first round, second round, third round, and just getting players that are proven actually.
So you're not trading everything to get Marvin Harrison Jr. next year?
I could probably be talked into it by then. But
he's the closest thing in a while since like Chase. Like I might be talking to him. It'll be tough.
It's every year. A guy like that comes. But like the next year, he doesn't have as dominant a year as we expect, and then we're like, "Oh, what happened?" So then it's somebody else that takes over. So who knows?
Yeah, that's been my argument. Probably the biggest news of the week comes from Chris Mortensen. We're all sitting here talking, C.J. Stroud straight to the Carolina Panthers. Mort's saying it's been Bryce Young the entire time. Because every draft I'm doing, I'm assuming Stroud is a Panther. Does it affect your thoughts on either of those guys if one goes to Carolina with Reich and those more proven weapons, nothing stellar, or one goes to Houston with a good coach and a growing team?
I think Houston's team is probably better than Carolina's team, I would think. They're both pretty – neither one of them are really that good. But Frank Reich – he's pretty sketchy coaching at this point. At least Ryan, this is his first year, but I'd be happier with, wherever Bryce Young, doesn't go. That's kind of where I'm going to go as my first pick. Like I said, I'm not a huge Bryce Young fan. He could, I don't know.
He can make good arguments for us. The more and more I watch and listen and read, and he's might be becoming my favorite.
He's okay
because I'm a man of small stature.
I'm sure he's going to be great. But he could be good. Who knows? But 5'10" quarterbacks compared to 6'4" quarterbacks, I feel like 6'4" quarterbacks are more often paying out than 5'10" quarterbacks.
Yeah, or summer.
I don't care how good of a thrower you are. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, let's see.
We'll see. But like I said, I hope he succeeds. And I would draft Bryce Young. Don't get me wrong. If I'm at that third pick and Bryce Young happens to still be there, probably going to take him just for a value purpose. So I could still have Bryce Young on my team. And then when he is on my team, guess what?
You're happy he's paying
Uh,
money.
I have to switch my stances, and then I guess I'll have to talk myself into being a fan of Bryce Young.
Yeah, he's growing on me. I think he'll be one of our guys we could probably argue back and forth for the offseason until there's real football. So, being as this week we're recording on Easter, so it's Easter week, and during Easter week, kids like to go on Easter egg hunts and get little Easter eggs with yummy candy. We're gonna make this whole theme what's inside that egg. JJ Wang, if you had one Easter candy that was the only candy you had, I know you're not a super giant candy guy.
Oh, you got me all wrong, dude.
Am I backwards? I thought you were the health
Oh,
nut. You tried to tell me you're all healthy.
I am a health nut, but I like candy.
Okay, well then
I,
you're a super crazy candy guy. It's my what would be that Easter candy that's like your top seed?
it's well, I think as far as like if I open up a Easter egg, I want to see like some sort of a Reese cup in there. Like I don't care what kind. I don't care if it's the Reese cup egg. It could be the Reese cup Christmas tree on Easter. I really don't care. It could be like the little mini Reese's. I mean, that really doesn't really bother me, as long as it's some kind of a Reese's at some point. But I also realize that I eat more peanut M&Ms than I do anything probably.
Really?
Oh, I eat so many peanut M&Ms. I could sit down and eat one of like those family size peanut M&M bags and just probably just have it done in no time. But so I mean but at the end of I would probably say if I was opening up an Easter egg, I would rather have a Reese cup in there.
Reese, yeah, Reese's those on Easter they only come out. I love Reese Pieces, but they have these
Yeah.
Reese Piece eggs. They're almost like an M&M, but with Reese Piece flavored peanut butter inside. They come in a little carton, and like they're like a Robin eggs kind of carton, and every now and then you can get them in a bag. My wife will like stockpile them like tomorrow, like Monday. So tomorrow after we record is when everything's half off, and I'll end up getting them for like my birthday, for our anniversary. I get but those are my number one jam. On the inverse, what is your least favorite? So we like that peanut butter stuff. So I mean, good thing our kids aren't allergic. We're lucky guys. What is your least, like if you could throw a Easter candy out, what would be the grossest thing?
Well, anything fruity. I'm not a fruity candy guy. I like chocolate. I like chocolate candy. So anything fruity, like whatever. I don't know. Like anything like sour gummies, anything like that. I don't like anything fruity, so I would throw all that fruity nonsense out.
I'm getting even more like I notice the older I get, that sour stuff just makes me kind of like.
Don't like the sour stuff either. Yeah.
Remember being a kid and eating a Warhead? It was the greatest thing on earth. I loved Warheads as a kid. Now I'm like, no, I don't want to have that. Those Brock's jelly beans are the most terrible. They're the ones that like everybody's grandma had, and they taste terrible. They are my least favorite Easter candy. I think my kids like them, but they're the ones you just see. And I look at them like I cannot eat that candy, and I'm totally fine.
I mean, I can eat some jelly beans on Easter, but I'm not going to eat jelly beans any other point in the year. But I mean, I'll take a handful of jelly beans and down them and be like, okay, I've had my fill of a jelly bean.
But of course, Starburst jelly beans, those are money.
Yeah, the Starbursts are okay, but like I said, it's just too. I like the fruity stuff just feels too sugary. I know there's the same amount of sugar in all of it. Totally understand. Don't get me wrong, but it just seems so sugary and so much worse for me than like I don't know my Reese cut does.
So here's the game we're going to play. We're each going to name a couple players, and we're going to say if you open the egg, what kind of candy would that player be and why? How would they compare? Basically, we're going to look at everything sort of from a dynasty perspective today because it is the off season, so everything is pretty much dynasty. Once we get closer to the regular season, it links together more. But right now, we're just thinking dynasty, future, long term when we're looking at that candy. We're going to throw out some guys. Today, we're going to focus on the NFC. We'll do something similar, not Easter eggs next week. We might just forget what we were doing and just go straight through AFC players next week, and I won't try to be cute. We'll see what we do, but it'll be cool to put eggs on our logo. You'll probably see. But let's throw out some players. We'll stop talking about candy. We're already a handful of minutes in. I'm sure people are getting a little hungry. Walmart, you're welcome. You can get some. It looks like you're going to Reese. Actually, Reese owes us a lot because we just got Reese a whole bunch of sales. Both of our listeners are going to be super excited and go out and buy Reese cups. And we always have Reese trees at Easter, Reese eggs at Halloween, and Reese pumpkins at Christmas because I'll get them a week later when they're all like super
Oh
cheap.
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And those things have gotten expensive. Anyway,
Everything has to.
who's your first guy? Who do you got in the NFC that you want to say what's in that egg?
So this is I'm kind of stretching here, but so I listen to a lot of the local talk show radio. Of course, we're in the DC area, so we listen to a lot of the Commanders, and I'm going to go with Sam Howell here. It just seems more
Ooh.
and more confident, not confident, but more and more likely that he's looking like he's going to be the starting quarterback, or at least get that opportunity to be that starting quarterback. And it's funny because Sam Howell's kind of got like a Will Levis trajectory as far as college goes. He had like that great, I think it
Yeah.
was his great sophomore season. He was like, oh, when this guy comes out next year, he's going to be like a top 3 pick. So everybody was crazy for Sam Howell. And he had an average, it wasn't a great junior season, but he had an average junior season. The team, playing for North Carolina, rushing yards came down a little bit, but he managed to fall to all the way to the 5th round. So I don't really see a difference between how Will Levis gets a pass still going in the top 5 and Sam Howell falling all the way to the 5th round. So I think there might be something in that egg there. And if you get it early, you can still get it kind of cheap if you want to buy in. But I think, you probably don't have to pay a lot right now unless you're dealing with a Commanders fan. Then you might have to pay a little bit more. But I think there's something there with Sam Howell.
I like some Sam Howell. I'm a fan of Sam Howell. I think right now he'd be low end QB2 in dynasties. Do you think maybe depending upon where you are? I mean, I think we both like Sam Howell and what we saw. Like he only had that. We have very you couldn't get a smaller sample size. That can't really, 189 yards, a touchdown, an interception. You had the rushing yards.
So let me say. So really, what's the difference between like saying, hey, taking a chance that Geno Smith is going to have a repeat of what he did, or maybe Sam Howell actually being a decent quarterback? I mean, I feel like I'm like, of course, you're probably going to, but I think
Dynasty. It depends where you are. I was thinking about that today. I was mowing the lawn.
I think Sam Howell could be just as good as Geno Smith at type of year.
I was thinking today, like Sam Howell. The answer to the question is a Butterfinger, by the way. Sam Howell. I was thinking about Dynasty. For a lot of these guys, everybody's going to look at him different. If I am trying to contend this year, Geno Smith's on my team. If I'm trying to build, Sam Howell could have almost he almost is like a Daniel Jones, where you're like, what do you got there? And then eventually he could pan out to be like Daniel Jones. Now I'd love to have Daniel Jones on my team. I've got one share, and I don't.
But honestly, don't you also have Daniel Jones and Geno Smith? Because you've got like 6 bad years and 1 good year, and you're like, what do I really got here in Geno Smith? I mean, I think Geno Smith's still pretty risky play.
Yeah, I'll take. I don't know, man. Geno Smith has more. No, I don't know.
The weapons are. I mean, the weapons.
I mean, I'll take Sam Howell. Golly. Yeah, I don't like this. So the answer to what I was saying is he's a Butterfinger because Reese's are our number 1 seeds, and Butterfinger's like right below. It's peanut butter and chocolate, something that I wouldn't mind crunching on a little bit. I think Sam Howell is gonna. I've got him in one place. Problem is, the same place I got him, I have Russell Wilson, I have Josh Allen, and I have Trey Lance. So he's just there for fun, but he has the potential to either be really good and turn in, or fun. But I think for what you're going to have and what you got him for, you're not going to lose a lot. But I think we're both similar, and I like Sam Howell. What would you trade for him?
I mean, I think at this point, if I'm setting it like 2-4, the 2-3, I mean, but I don't even know if you'd be able to get him at this. But depending on who, it still might be going to be tough to get him at this point. Yeah. I feel like he's going to be a starter, but I mean, if I'm setting it like the 112, I might be, hey, let me get that 112. I mean, let me get Sam Howell. I know he's going to have a chance to start.
Yeah, I mean, you look at him. Once you get past, it's funny. We all were excited, and once you get past 1-7, you're like, who do I want? It's like throw stuff in the air, see what sticks.
Take a shot on him.
Let's go to one of your favorite team with my first guy. For some reason, a lot of guys I wrote down were almost running backs. We're gonna go over to the Bay Area, And the guy I want to know about is, what do you think about Eli Mitchell?
What do I think about Eli Mitchell? I think he's in a tough position being behind Christian McCaffrey. I think he's stuck. I mean, I know you. I mean, of course, you're going to have him on your team, but I don't think you can start him at any point. So, if Christian McCaffrey goes down, then yeah, it looks great. I mean, you want a piece of the 49ers running backs, but it's tough. I mean, I don't know if I'm really too excited about it. Plus, he seems to get hurt a lot too his first couple of years, so that's also
Yeah.
been a struggle.
He gets hurt a lot. He had 14 for 51 in the playoff game to Dallas, but then he was inactive for Philadelphia. And it's interesting. Like I'm looking at him on teams. If you have Christian McCaffrey, you have to get Eli Mitchell, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you would probably like to have him, but I mean, Chris McCaffrey looked pretty good. I mean, stayed pretty healthy last year, all things considered. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, like you said, it doesn't matter who you just want the 49ers running backs because they always seem to be injured. So, if you could get him, yeah, but it's going to be hard to give up, because somebody else probably wants him too. So,
Yeah, I'm looking. I can get him for not too bad of a cost. So,
oh,
what
yeah.
what Easter candy? Is he fruity or is he
I
chocolatey
don't
or
know.
chocolate
I
fruity?
mean, yeah, probably a little fruity for me. And I'm
I was
not
thinking bottle
really.
caps.
I like a good bottle cap. I mean, they're okay. I mean,
If he
not
plays,
not too.
it's like it crunches that little bit. He plays. You got him in there. If they deploy a two-back system, which is possible because they do have two talent, he's a talented runner when he plays, and maybe they're looking at McCaffrey and the investment, and they'll give Eli some of the pounds. He could get some of those some touchdowns and sneak on there. And I mean, he's going to be 25 next month. But he could be an interesting player to keep an eye on. If you're a McCaffrey owner, I'd probably see what you can do and get him, latch him in there.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to switch over to the NFC North and go with a wide receiver here. I'm going to go with KJ Osborne.
I almost wrote him
Um, so this
down.
is this is his third year. First year didn't have any catches. Anything. Second year was okay. I think he had 50 catches. Then last year, as still being the third receiver last year, with Adam Thielen still there, he ended up with 90 targets. So he's close to that triple digit. Has 60 catches for 600 yards. I think with Thielen gone now, him solidifying, I think that number two role, and I think you can. I mean, if he gets the touchdowns, I think he increase the yards and the catches. There's enough yards there to go along with Justin Jefferson's to be a maybe a 20 to 30 type wide receiver, and I think he's definitely on the uptick here.
I hope so. After letting him single-handedly cost me a championship run last year, that's why it still hurts to talk about him because all I really needed him to catch like two catches for 30 yards, and I'd have won the league. KJ Osborne, yep. For me, right now, he sets as a Hershey bar, straight up Hershey bar. He's right there. I like a good Hershey bar,
That's
and
pretty good.
it's a good
That's
Hershey bar.
pretty
I
good.
like KJ. He's on a high-powered offense. The only reason he wouldn't be a Reese cup is because Justin Jefferson, he's a straight up Easter egg Reese cup. He's probably those double stuffed ones, just extra peanut butter. The big, maybe he might even be the pounder, the big pound Reese because he's
Like
that
the big
good.
old, like the big old Easter bunny Reese. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, yeah, obviously.
but he has the potential because you got to have the chocolate on the outside. I think if you take they're eventually they're going to shadow Justin Jefferson so much that somebody's got to get open. Thielen's not there. I've seen a lot of things where they take a receiver this year, and will the kid kick in or will KJ step up? I mean, I like him. He's 25, so he's still not even really at his receiver peaks at like 26, 27 generally. So he'll turn 26 before the season starts. So I'll 5'11", 203. I like the size. When I've watched him play, he looks great to play. So I think everything's pointing up as long as they don't decide to draft somebody or do something ridiculous to put in there.
Yeah, it makes sense. It just depends on how well Kirk Cousins plays. I
Yeah.
mean, when does Kirk Cousins fall off?
So let's jump to the AFC South. And
The AFC? I thought we
how about the
sticking to
NFC South? I'm
There you
all
go.
over the place today. NFC South, and since he did leave, and I think it's more intriguing. I think he'll be a better candy for me than you. Adam Thielen. in Carolina, mainly like dynasty. He's this is the guy that made me think about it. He's going to get targets. Who else are they going to throw to on that team? No matter who the quarterback is, they've got to throw the ball. He's going to be the security blanket. They signed who is the tight end they signed? Did they got what's his name? I got to look it up, but I just lost it. But he's going to be the security blanket for whichever rookie, probably Bryce Young now. And I think there's a good argument to say that he could be a decent slot receiver this year.
I think it's a tough argument to make, considering he was the number 2 receiver last year on a decently high-powered offense, and he completely fell off. I mean, he was not relevant, I feel, at all. And so now he goes to the Panthers that doesn't have an established quarterback, that has nowhere near the established number 1 receiver on the other side, and nowhere near an established run game. So where does that top corner go? I mean, he wasn't able to beat number 2 corners last year, so now he's going to get a lot, maybe more number 1 corner. Because I don't think I guess unless Terrace Marshall gets those number 1 corners. But yeah, this is fruity all the way for me. This might be like a Jolly Rancher. This could be Jolly Rancher type.
I was just behind him, the closest competition he has is a injured DJ Chark, Terrace Marshall. Hey, did you know our boy Preston Williams plays for the Carolina Panthers?
Nice. I did not know that.
And then a possible tight end sleeper maybe to keep an eye on, Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
That's who they signed. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be 75 years old.
Not excited about Adam Thielen.
Yeah, I think for me, he'd probably be he wouldn't be chocolate yet, I don't think. I mean, I'm hoping he's approaching. No. He's I like Adam Thielen this year. I'll have him probably a ton higher than you will. I just like the opportunity.
You will have him a ton higher than me.
I'll have him ranked.
He's going to be on my list.
I have him ranked. So I guess that's going to make him probably, maybe a handful of nerds right now. Yeah, I like some nerds.
Shout out to Adam Thielen. You've been productive throughout your career. I never was a big fan, but yeah, hey, I'm still shout out to you. You've been productive. I'm going to switch over to NFC West, go back to running back. This might sound kind of crazy, but I'm going to go Cam Akers.
I had him written down.
So, I mean, the beginning of the year last year was crazy. We didn't even know if he was going to be on the team. He wasn't playing. Then by the end of the year, I mean, he was getting top 10 running back performances. So I'm not sure where to stand here, but I do know this team is in a bad way. They need a lot of players at a lot of different positions, and I can't say running back's going to be high on the list. They never have any draft picks, but I think they got like a lot of third rounders in that kind of area, which they could get several running backs in that area. But to start the season, I can see Cam Akers, getting the work, and if he's producing, I mean, great for us. I mean, I don't think you have to pay a lot to get Cam Akers at this point. I mean, I've never gotten rid of him. I've still got him on a couple of teams originally. Still like him. But if he plays anywhere near he did towards the end of the season, I mean, we might have something here.
Yeah. Oh, Cam Akers is a Kit Kat bar for me.
He's pretty good.
He's good. Like you like that? I love me some Kit Kats because he's that thing. You're sitting there like, oh, crunch, and like, ooh, I kind of, because he was letting down, and everybody's going, oh, there's another one of those Achilles guys. He's not going to do anything. And then he was splitting a lot of carries. And then I don't know how many, if my team had been competing that I had him on, my team was scoring more points than anybody in the league, partially due to Cam Akers just killing it. I mean, the last 3 games, he had 118, 123, 104 yards. That's ridiculous. And then he had 2, 1, and 3 receptions. He was getting a couple of receptions, nothing spectacular. But I mean, who's he going to be competing with? Kylan Williams?
I think they will draft somebody. Like I said, going into the season, I mean, I think he's going to get all the work, and if he performs in the slightest.
2 years out. I mean, I think he's, and because I was sitting there thinking today, like, I'm going to be drafting like Bijan, a couple of those running backs in that league. Do I see if I can move Cam? One of the guys that was listening, he was getting my draft strategy last week. We talked for a while. He's like, oh, now I know what you're drafting as we're trying to trade in that league. But he was asking about it. I was like, I don't know if I can move him. It's us. I think it's our old school Florida State love too that
All right.
keeps him in my heart a little bit, you know. So I'm gonna go to the AFC East. We'll go to your former favorite team, a guy who right now, this time next month, it could be different because we never know what Jerry's gonna say or Jerry's gonna do. Like we thought they were set at receiver, and oh, why doesn't he just draft CD Lamb, which now looks brilliant? Back then, I thought it was the dumbest draft pick ever because they had so many needs. I was like, man, there are so many needs, or were better players for what they needed, but Jerry got his man. And who's to say Jerry doesn't draft Bijan? That would be. I've heard that. I've heard receiver. I'm like, really? So Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is he's a the dynasty community is in love with Tony Pollard right now. Zeke's gone for now. Tony Pollard had 1,000-yard season, 9 touchdowns, looked fast, quick, everything you want in a running back. He's making $1 gajillion this year on the franchise tag, but this could go up in smoke soon. What do you think about Tony Pollard this year? Are you scared of Jerry getting too cute, or do you think he's?
I think you can trust Tony Pollard unless they get Bijan Robinson. I mean, if they get Bijan Robinson, then the fantasy community is not going to be in love with Tony Pollard anymore. It's only a 1-year deal, $10 million. But if you draft Bijan, you're getting him on a rookie deal, so it's still not like you're paying a lot for. He's going to draft a running back at some point. I mean, all they got is Tony Pollard, and
I just lost.
hey, that's fine, whatever. And that's all I got. So a running back's coming in. The defense is good. I feel like the only really piece they're missing might be that workhorse running back, and Jerry likes what Jerry likes to do. You know, Jerry likes to do it. So, I mean, I like Tony Pollard as long as you say Bijan Robinson's not there. Somebody else gets drafted, it's fine.
So what would he be? Sugary? Chocolatey?
I don't know. Right now, I mean, he could be chocolatey, but in a month, he could be sweet. I mean, so I don't know. Is there any candy that like
chocolatey sweet? Do you
like
chocolate covered raisins?
I mean, yeah, they're okay. I like a good chocolate covered raisin. I mean, well, maybe he's a chocolate covered raisin. Well, I like chocolate covered raisins.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Is he a top quarter? Where was he fall? Say they stick where they are. They go with him, Malik Davis. That's who it was. They draft someone late, or they sign. I mean, who knows? Maybe they throw Zeke back in on a cheap deal. I doubt that happens. But they sign someone late. Nothing's going to change. Where would you have him as of today? If you had to draft today, where would he be in your running back rankings?
I think he would definitely be top 15. I think he definitely maybe even a little higher than that. Maybe even jump probably in the top up to that top 10. Maybe if he is the number one guy, because they're going to run the ball, and he looked good. But we all seen it before. Somebody that RB2 always looks good until they get put in that RB1 role and they lose their efficiency. They don't become as efficient because they're getting so many more opportunities. So I think we need the expectations bring him down a little bit, because I don't think he's going to be as efficient as he has been. But it's still going to be a good running back if he is the RB1.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have him top 10 easily without a problem.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go
one more guy for each
South.
of us.
What's that?
One more guy for each of us.
Okay, I'm going to go NFC South, and I'm going to bring him up again because I still think there is something there, and that's Kyle Pitts. Still haven't given up on this guy, right? It's been his 3rd year. I know it sounds crazy. I mean, I don't feel like people have given up on him, but last year was bad. I mean, but it was kind of bad for the whole offensive, receiving core in general. And I think they get a little better. And he's definitely going to be like that number 2 option. Hopefully like Drake London is that number 1. That's what I'm really hoping for. I'm hoping Drake London turns into that guy. But I mean, Drake London could also be in on this, more of like these 2 guys. I want a lot of chocolate here, because I mean, I think I got a lot invested in these 2 guys, so I'm still rooting for a lot of chocolate. But I think it can't be that bad, can it?
I don't. The guy I wrote down that I was thinking about that team was Mac Hollins, and will like Matt Collins isn't going to be a stellar guy, but will he be enough? Because he's shown burst the last couple of years to take some of that pressure off. That there's more than just Drake London. Because if it's just Drake London, then you can double put a linebacker. They can double team Pitts, double team London, let the other person run around and do whatever. But if Matt Collins shows like he played decent for the Finns every now and then, he played decent for the Raiders last year, that could affect Kyle Pitts. So Kyle Pitts, I don't think he's that bad, but I really think that this time next year we're either going to say, man, I wish I'd have sold Kyle Pitts, or okay, Kyle Pitts is the future. Like I think it's this put up or shut up this year.
It's definitely make or break. I mean, definitely got to show us something. I mean, he needs to be more in line with his rookie season, but he needs to score touch. That's the thing. He's not getting touchdowns. I think if he could get more than one touch, I think he had 2 touchdowns last year.
He had 2 last
year. Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy part. I think the touchdowns need to come up. All right, who's your last guy?
My last guy, since the last division we have that we haven't done 2 guys from is the NFC North, I'm going to go with my favorite other team, probably the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to go with their RB1. And the cool thing, everybody, we each other don't know the guys. We're just throwing guys out.
I think I had this guy on my list too.
David Montgomery.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up.
This backfield in my brain is a hot mess because we've both had Swift high, we've had Swift low, we've had Swift high, we've had Swift low. We don't know what to think of Swift. Jamal Williams balled out last year. Like I'm hearing the hype on Jamal Williams. He might be a guy if you want to grab someone. He was on my list as well to pick up because Kamara might get suspended this year, and Jamal Williams could play that Ingram role in there. But now they bring in Montgomery, who we've talked about. You think's better than Jamal Williams. He's going to be on a team that's going to be. I think the Lions are a decent squad based upon last year, even if they build on that. But putting him and Swift in there, will they take too much from each other that they're only worth one running back, or is there enough to feed both of them, or does he eat more than Swift?
It's tough. I go back and forth on this because I still like DeAndre Swift. Still think the talent is there. But I still think he's more of that receiving threat. Bring David Montgomery in to run between it. That's just like every other team in the NFL. I don't think either one of these guys is a workhorse running back at this point. But I like David Montgomery, and they're going to run the ball a lot. But David Montgomery is going to have to get those, 12 to 15 touchdown range to be relevant. And I think DeAndre Swift is going to have to get 50 to 60 catches, to be relevant. I think that's the kind of split that it's going to have to be. It's going to be tough for both of these guys, to have that kind of season. But I think it's the way it's going to work. But I like David Montgomery, if he's getting all those touchdowns, which is tough.
So think of this stat line: 262 rushes, 1,066 yards, 17 touchdowns.
Man, that's crazy.
That was Jamal Williams last year.
Yeah.
Where does Montgomery fall within that if he takes the Jamal Williams role?
More yards, he can fall right in line with that. I think the carries could be there, the yards could be there. I think the yards could be a little better because I think Jamal Williams is still more of a plogger type. He's not going to break off a big play. I think David Montgomery can break off a bigger play than Jamal Williams. I think the yards could be a little more, but I still probably the touchdowns probably come down a little bit, a lot probably.
I don't think anybody's gonna get that. He's gonna be my bag of M&Ms. I love me some M&Ms. I love me some Detroit Lions, and I think they're gonna get some points. Regular M&Ms.
Oh, still,
you want to go that high?
M&M is like top of the.
It's right below the Reese there for me.
I like it, but like I said, it's going to have to come down to touchdowns. That's what it's going to.
Baby Ruth.
I like it. Yeah, I could go with the Baby Ruth. Yeah,
I could come down to a Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth is fun. I like that.
So yeah, I think there's some decent guys there. We got tons more we'll talk about in the offseason. Next week we're going to throw out some AFC guys to surprise each other, see what we think, where they could fall, good, bad, or indifferent. JJ Wang, give us some wisdom as we go off into the sunset.
It's not really wisdom. I just have a question. I know you're a baseball fan. What's your thoughts on the new baseball rules? Have you enjoyed it, or a little bit getting used to? What's your
I think that it had to happen because the
Absolutely.
games were so long. It hasn't. I've only really seen one player because I only watch Guardians games because there's just too many players, too many teams, and my Guardians are pooping the bed. That we've just fell to 5-5. It's ridiculous. But
There's still a lot of
they,
games left, dude.
yeah, I know. But just watching how strong they were, it's just baseball is so emotionally roller coaster. I've only seen one guy really thrown off, and it was in the first game, one of our relievers. So it hasn't seemed to affect a lot of guys that I've watched personally, and I like that it speeds it up. I hate watching. I used to watch one guy who would always every time have to adjust his gloves 13 times before grabbing the bat. It's like get up, hit the stupid ball. I don't need
Yeah,
this.
stepping out of the batter's box 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's hard to watch, man. It was really hard to watch.
So the pitch clock, I've enjoyed that. I'm in. I don't know what I thought about that when they changed the shift. That I thought, well, if somebody's gonna put a shift there, if you're making millions of dollars, hit it the other way. If you're so good, don't hit it to the guy right there. Like then you must not be the best player. Like basketball players can shoot from the really good shooters can shoot no matter where you put them. They're the shooters. If you're a hitter, you should be able to lay the ball left field, right field, center field. There's more to it than that. But it's just amazing how like the shift totally stopped people. Like
But what if you're not? What if you're not on the team because you're a great hitter? You're on the team because you're a great defender, but you can only hit the ball to
that's
that
usually
side.
that's like the catchers.
Yeah.
Most other guys you got to have some sort of catchers and start stops. And those
Yeah,
guys,
the shift is crazy when they put it over there. I mean, they just
yeah.
got everybody. It is insane. Like you just can't bunt it to that side of the field, dude. I mean,
I've seen a guy bunt to the third base line. It just trickles all the way
yeah,
into left field. It's beautiful. But yeah,
yeah. I just
like
wanted
it.
to get your thoughts on that. I think the game is a little more interesting. I can actually sit down and watch more than 2 or 3 batters now, and then get to the end of the game. But yeah, as always, trust yourself and trust the process.